Good morning to all. Welcome to chemistry class. Hope you are keeping well. So in our last class we have discussed about the classification of matter. So in that one of the classification was element. So now we are discussing about the classification of these elements. So elements have been classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. So metals, we know few examples because generally we will be using metals, that is copper, gold, silver, all these are iron, all these are examples of metal. Non-metals, we have carbon, nitrogen, helium we have taken, and metalloids are nothing but which shows the properties of both metals as well as non-metals. Clear? So metalloids are the one which shows the properties of metals as well as non-metals. So a few examples we have, that is boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony and tellurium. So when you call a substance as a metal, so on what basis we have classified this one? So that is the classification is based upon the nature of the substance. So it is how it is reacting. So during the reaction, so how it is reacting with other substances. So that is what indicates the nature of the substance. So when metal is considered, so let us take an example. So that is sodium. Let us take sodium is a metal. So sodium consists of 11 electrons. It consists of 11 electrons in it. Clear? But the sodium is always ready to lose one electron. So this part already we have discussed how the atom is going to lose an electron. So in earlier video it is there, in the previous video you can go and check it down once again. If at all if you have not seen that video, go and check that video first and then you continue watching this video. So we have an sodium atom which is going to give out an electron. So one electron is out. So because of which one electron is less, so that's why it is getting a positive charge. It readily loses one electron. Clear it is? So it is going to lose one electron. So that is been in general we have written in this form. So why it is going to lose? If at all if it is losing one electron, then it gets a stability. So to attain stability, it is going to lose one electron. Likewise, non-metal. So non-metal will be, so we'll write that one. So that is what a metal has the ability to lose electrons. So all the metals will be having a property of losing the electrons. That is the property of metal. So non-metal is the one which is going to gain the electrons. So non-metals are the one which gains the electrons. They have the ability of gaining the electron. All this is due to the ability, whatever the ability it has, either it is gaining the electron or losing the electron. So it is due to attaining the stability. To attain stability, it is either losing the electron or gaining the electron. Clear it is? So we have few examples. So already you have studied periodic table. In periodic table, if you check, so S block elements. We have S block elements as metals. We have D block elements as metals. D block elements are also metals, as well as F block element is also a metal. Clear? So in P block we have few as a metal and few as a non-metal. Clear it is? So non-metals and metalloids you can observe in case of a P block elements. Clear it is? Followed. So non-metal has the ability to gain electron. After gaining the electron, so it will be, after we have an atom X, it is gaining an electron. One electron is extra being added. So that's why it is getting a negative charge on it. It is called as anion. Negatively charged ion is called as anion. So the positively charged ion, we are going to call that one as cation. In general, we are calling that one as cation. So here it is the anion. So the non-metals have the ability to gain electron. Why it is gaining electron? To get stability. We are going to study in the further videos or further classes regarding all this. What is the stability, or what does the stability exactly mean by that? Clear it is? Next. Metalloid is the elements which shows the properties of. These are the element which shows the properties of both metals as well as non-metals. So that is, we can say that its properties lies in between metals and metalloids. That is, it has ability to, so it will be losing electron also, it has ability to gain electron also. Both the possibilities are possible. So after losing electrons, it will be attaining stability. Even after gaining electron, it will be attaining stability. Such kind, or the properties of the metalloids, the properties of the elements lies in between metals and non-metals, are called as metalloids. So you can use this definition also. So metalloids are the elements whose properties lies in between metals and non-metals. So remember, these are the very important: silicon, germanium, all these are very important elements which can be used as a semiconductors. Nowadays, whatever the electronic or electrical goods electrical appliances, whatever we are seeing, in all those are very good what a semiconductor is being used, and germanium, silicon, all these will be very helpful in preparing semiconductor. So semiconductor, whatever the material we have, the conductivity is very high, because of which these metalloids play a very important role in case of electrical as well as electronic goods there. Clear? So we have mentioned one more part, that is stability. After by losing electron or by gaining electron, so the metals or non-metals, so why do they lose electron or gain electron? Is due to attain stability. The stability is nothing but, so after losing or after gaining electron, so the element is going to attain a noble gas configuration. Clear it is? That is the 18th group element. So 18th group element. 18th group elements are nothing but noble gases, and those noble gases are highly stable in nature. Highly stable in nature. So to attain noble gas configuration, which is the most stable electronic configuration in the periodic table. So to attain that one, so metals will be losing the electron and non-metals will be gaining the electron. So how it is and all in detail we'll be studying in our further classes. Now you just remember, elements are classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metals have the ability to lose electron and to get an positive charge. The positively charged species is called as cation, and the nature of that metal, the nature of the metal to lose electron is called as electropositivity. It is nothing but electropositivity. Clear it is? So the gaining of electron of a non-metal is nothing but electronegativity. These words you remember. This is very important words. So the metal which has ability to lose the electron is called as metal which has the ability to lose the electron is nothing but electropositivity, and the elements which gains the electron is called as what a non-metal, and that property of gaining the electron is called as electronegativity. Clear? So metalloids are the elements whose properties lies in between metals and non-metals. So we can call them as metalloids. So their properties lies in between metals as well as non-metals. Clear it is? So the next topic is atom. So the definition of atom already we have discussed. We shall recall that one now once again. Atom is the smallest particle of an element which may or may not have free existence. So that is nothing but it is the smallest particle. We have already discussed this is the smallest particle an element can have. So let us consider an example of an element. So this is an element we have taken. So in the element the particles are there. So all these are, let us consider all these are, the element is carbon. We have taken an example as carbon here. So whatever this particle is there, whatever that particle is there, that particle is a single particle. One single particle is called as a atom. So this is what we are calling as a atom. So this is the smallest particle of an element. An element is being taken. An element is made up of numerous number of atoms here. So we have taken an example of carbon. So in the carbon element, one simple or smallest particle we have taken. So that is what called as a atom. Clear it is. So now, the definition, now if you check the definition, if you check, which may or may not have free existence, that is nothing but, so in earlier classes also we have, in earlier video also we have discussed, that is few elements cannot exist in the form of an atom. Like hydrogen it might be, or it might be nitrogen, or you can even consider chlorine. All these things cannot exist as an atom. So always it will be existing as a molecule itself. So that is nothing but two atoms combine with one another to form a bond between them, and it is forming a molecule here. Clear it is. Likewise nitrogen also, nitrogen bonded to nitrogen through triple bond, three bonds. Chlorine bond to chlorine with only single bond. Clear it is. So why it is different, that in the higher classes you will be studying. So but you just remember that is few will be existing. Like if you check the carbon, carbon will be existing in the atomic form. In an atom form it is stable. So it is existing in atomic form. But hydrogen, nitrogen, chlorine, oxygen, all these cannot exist as an atom. So that's why it will be two atoms, atoms of hydrogen combine with one another, and it will be having an molecule. So two are there. So that's why it is called as a diatomic molecule. Clear it is. So two hydrogen we have. So that's why it is diatomic molecule. So we have phosphorus. If at all a phosphorus is considered, phosphorus is stable or it is existing in the P4 state. Likewise, if you consider sulfur, so sulfur is stable or it will be existing in S8 form. That is 8 sulfur atoms will be forming one molecule. So 4 phosphorus atom will be forming one molecule. Clear? In that state or in that form itself it is stable. So that is what this part means. May or may not have a free existence. That is in case of hydrogen, nitrogen, chlorine or phosphorus and sulfur. So what a free existence is not possible. That is atomic existence of these elements are not possible. It will be either it may be hydrogen element or nitrogen element or chlorine or phosphorus and sulfur. So they don't have atomic existence. They will be existing in a molecular form itself. That molecular form may be with 2, it may be with 4, it may be with 8. It molecule means it doesn't mean that always it should be 2 atoms itself. Clear? So molecule may be 4 also, may be 8 also. That is how much how many atoms if it is combining to form a molecule, that indicates the stability stability of that particular element. So 8 sulfur atoms will be combining to form a molecule, and that is the stable state of sulfur. Likewise, so what a phosphorus, so phosphorus with 2 atoms, that is P2 is not stable. P4 is the stable state of phosphorus. Likewise, so what are nitrogen, hydrogen and chlorine also. So atom is the smallest particle of an element. Either it may be in the form of it may exist freely or with a stability in few cases. It may not exist also, or it may not exist as an or it may be existing in the form of molecule also. So one more example let us take. So that is iron. So if at all if you consider iron, so iron also will be existing in the form of a atom itself. So in the form of an atom, so it is also stable. So most of the metals are stable in their atomic state itself. Clear it is? Followed. Next point regarding atom we'll see. So it is the smallest particle that takes part in a chemical reaction. So atom is the smallest particle which has been involved in the chemical reaction. So atom, inside atom, that is the subatomic particles of atom we have seen. So inside atom we have electrons, we have protons, we have neutrons. That is, we have nucleus inside the atom. But separately electron is not involved in the reaction, neither proton is separately involved in the reaction, but atom is involved in the reaction, or atom only will be involved in the reaction. Clear it is? So it is the smallest particle. Further, it cannot be divided and it cannot be. Subatomic particles we have, but we can't divide that atom and we can't make the half of the atom into reaction or one of the particle of atom to be involved in the reaction. So atom is the smallest particle that takes part in a chemical reaction. The size of atom is extremely small. So the size of one of the hydrogen atom will consider. So hydrogen is the first element in the periodic table, and I hope you know the atomic number of hydrogen. Atomic number of hydrogen is 1. Atomic number of hydrogen is 1. That means that it has only one proton in it. Clear it is? One proton it has as well as one electron in it. So if at all if you check the radius, so if you check the radius of hydrogen, so usually we say that atom is radius of hydrogen. Atom is spherical in shape. So whenever we write a diagram, so in our last class also we have discussed about so atom. So even in that diagram it was an spherical shape itself. So we say that atom is spherical in shape. So when you consider if you consider the radius of hydrogen, that is radius of the hydrogen atom, if you consider, so radius of hydrogen atom, if at all if it is been considered, then the value is 10 to the power of minus 10 meter it is. So that is minus 10 in the sense it is a 0.000, that is 10 zeros. After that 10 zeros you'll be getting. After that 10 zeros like this 1. So that is what the value. Clear it is? So 0.00001 meter. So the radius is very small. Likewise, so if at all if you check the mass, if the size is very smaller, then mass also will be very less only. So mass of hydrogen is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 27 kg. You can imagine. So how I have written 10 to the power of minus 10 is 0.000 it is. So when you write this value, this is 1 into 10 to the power. Clear it is? So the value is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 10. The same way here it is 0.27 zeros you will be writing. After that you have 1 6. Clear it is? And that is what kg. In terms of kg it is. Clear it is? So 27 zeros will come. After that it is 1 kg. So we know that the value is very small, and it is a very smaller value. Even for calculation also it is very difficult. So why it has been mentioned in this form is every time writing 10 zeros is difficult. So that's why we have used a scientific method to mention this value, and that is in terms of 10 to the powers. Clear it is? So the 10 to the power is nothing but in this form it will be. So radius is very small. That means that mass will be also very smaller. So this is about the atom we have discussed. So we'll move on to the next part. So the fundamental particles of atom. Atom we have seen, atom is the smallest particle of an element. So which may or may not have existence, free existence. So the fundamental particles of atom. Every atom is composed of a nucleus. So that is nothing but, so which is present at the center. This is the nucleus. And one or more electrons are there which is bound to the nucleus. The nucleus is made up of one or more protons and a number of neutrons. Clear it is? So we shall see that one, which are all electrons. So this is what an electron, that is nothing but, so this is the nucleus we said. We'll check all those things. So what is this? This is the nucleus. This is the proton and this one is the neutron. So you can observe here. So whatever the blue balls are there, all those blue balls which are revolving around the nucleus. So this is our nucleus. This is our nucleus which is at the center, and the electrons or the blue balls which is revolving around the nucleus is called as electron. Or it may be one electron. If it is hydrogen, it has only one electron. So if it is helium 2, like that, the number of electron is going to vary. So how to calculate and all, we shall see that one. So now, so the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. We have nucleus in the center. So in the nucleus, we have two things. One is proton, that is the red color balls are proton, and the yellow color balls are neutron. So we call these particles together as, nucleons. We call them as nucleons. Clear it is? So this is our nucleus. Nucleus consists of proton and neutron, and togetherly we call them nucleons. And electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a almost in a circular path. We can observe almost in a circular path it is. Clear? So now it is just like the solar system. Center we have a sun, and planets. The planets are revolving around the sun. So the same way here we have, in place of sun we have nucleus, and electrons are the planets. Clear it is? So electrons are negatively charged. Electrons are negatively charged. They are negatively charged. And when you consider proton, protons are positively charged. Positively charged. Clear? So these are neutral, no charge at all. So neutrons doesn't contain any charges. If any atom, if you consider an atom, in an atom, so how many positive charges will be? The same number of negative charges also will be there. Clear it is? Suppose let us consider sodium only. Let us consider sodium only. Sodium has 11 electrons. 11 electrons. And it also has 11 protons. Here it is. So sodium contains 11 protons and 11 electrons. Clear? So neutrons also are there. Neutrons are also there. Since it is neutral, we are not taking that one. I am not considering here. Clear it is? Or it doesn't contain any charge over there. So that's why it is not at all involving in itself in the reaction also. So in reaction, electrons only will be involving, and electrons only we have just now we have seen. Either it is addition of electron or it is removal of electron only we have seen. But what a proton number also we need to consider. So that is what a proton number, based upon the proton number also we will be writing the charges there. So now you observe sodium consists of 11 protons and 11 electrons. So 11 protons are positively charged, it is plus 11. Clear it is? Now, plus how many electrons are there? So, it is 11 electrons. All 11 electrons are negatively charged. Electrons are negatively charged. So, that's why it is minus 11. So, plus 11 gets cancels with minus 11 and the charge is 0. So, when you write a sodium atom, we are not writing any charge there. It is the atom. So, it is neutral in nature. So, why it is neutral? So, how many number of protons are there? Same number of electrons are present. So, that's why it is neutral in nature. Clear it is? So, the protons are positively charged and the electrons are negatively charged. When you consider neutrons, neutrons doesn't contain any charge, but it is present in the nucleus. Clear? So, sentence is there. Nucleus is made up of one or more. Okay. So, you can observe here. So, the electrons are bound to the nucleus. Electrons are bound to the nucleus. That indicates that the protons are positively charged here and electrons are negatively charged. So, there is an force of attraction between them. Opposite charges attract each other. So, there is a force of attraction between them. Force of attraction between them. So, because of which, with that force of attraction, electrons are bound to the nucleus because the protons are present in the nucleus. So, that's why we say that with the force of attraction, so electrons are bounding or electrons are bounded to the nucleus. It is clear. It is why it is because of the opposite charges. Protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged. So, there is a force of attraction between them. So, through which it is bounded to one another. So, as the distance increases, so whatever the, you can observe here, so from the nucleus, so this is the distance is less when compared to these electrons or when compared to the electrons in the second level. So, let us consider this is the first level and this is our second level. So, the first level, the distance is very, very less. You can observe the distance is very, very less. But to the second level, the distance is more. As the distance increases, force of attraction is also going to decrease. Clear it is? It is just like the magnet with the iron. So, if at all, if you keep a iron piece very near to the magnet, there is a very good force of attraction between them. But if at all, if it is departed, if it is if it is moved far, then force of attraction decreases. The same way, even though the positive charge and negative charges are there also, if at all, if they are far from one another, distance is going to increase, means force of attraction is also going to decrease. Clear it is? So, remember all these concepts are very, very important.